Hey y'all, Hunter Elliott, rangehot.com. Hope you're doing well. This afternoon I'm finalizing my review on a Riton Optic. This is the X3 CONQUER 6 to 24 by 50 rifle scope. Now this particular one is 6 to 24 by 50. However, their CONQUER line has several different magnifications. So if it's something you're interested in but you're not really digging that variable, then you've got some options. All that is listed on rangehot.com, which I will link to in the description of this video along with a few other things. But anyway, let's get to the review. But first, you see I have this optic mounted on the Marlin 336 Dark, chambered in 30-30. The lever's back. The tubular magazine is empty, and I've ensured the chamber is empty in this rifle, so we know it's safe to talk about. So this is kind of a long-range optic, and I put it on kind of a short-range rifle. And I know that may sound kind of counterintuitive, but bear with me. There is a method to my madness. While it only maybe makes sense to me, damn it all, it still makes sense. So we're gonna go with it. It is a front focal plane optic, and that is different than a second focal plane optic. And let's talk about that real quick. I'll have a little bit better description on rangehot.com, but just so you understand what the differences are. On a front focal plane optic, as you dial the magnification up, the reticle increases in size. On the second focal plane optic, as you dial the magnification up, the reticle does not increase in size. Why is that important? Well, if it's an MOA or a milliradian optic reticle, and you've got holdover or mil dots that you know where your holdover is, and you're going to use that for windage estimation, range estimation, bullet holdover, all that sort of stuff, you know, the dope of your rifle. When you increase that magnification, it increases that reticle size, and that allows the reticle to stay true to the measurement. So at 6 power, I can use this reticle for range estimation or bullet holdover. When I crank it to 24 power, because that reticle is increasing with magnification along with the optic, it's still the same size down range, so all of my values still hold true. I can still use that reticle at 24 power or 6 power or any power in between for range estimation, bullet holdover, windage, all that sort of stuff. On a second focal plane optic, that reticle holdover, range estimation, all that is only going to be good on 1 power. Generally speaking, it's going to be the highest magnification of the optic. So if this was a second focal plane optic, 6 to 24, then I could really only truly use the reticle at 24 power for bullet drop compensation, range estimation, windage estimation, all that sort of stuff. At any less power, since the reticle did not increase in size, it's going to throw your measurements off. So for something like that, long range scope that you're going to want to use some range estimation or some immediate bullet holdover, then front focal plane is really the best way to go to get the most out of your optic at whatever power you happen to be. This optic comes in at about 30 ounces. It does have an illuminated reticle, and there are 6 levels of illumination on that reticle. The battery that powers that is the CR2032. Let's talk about these turrets here. Now you do have windage and elevation turrets, and they are adjustable in tenths of mils, which is pretty standard on a milliradian scope. They call the R3 zero stop turrets, and that's what Riton calls them. But what I mean by that is they're numbered. You've got all kind of little dials and numbers here, so whenever you get your rifle at whatever zero you want, 100, 200, 300 yard, and you've got it zeroed in just like you want, then you take a little Allen key, you take these turrets off, and you zero them out. So let's say I got this rifle zeroed at 100 yards, and I got a 200 yard shot. Now, with this reticle, I can certainly use this mil dot reticle for holdover compensation. But if I want to dial the reticle in to my 200 yard dope, I just dial it in counting the numbers. You know, you know your drop, you know where you're supposed to be, you've worked all this dope out. You make your shot, you should be good to go. And then if you're like, oh, I need to get back to my 100 yard zero, then you just zero your turret right back out, and that brings the reticle back to your 100 yard zero. Which is really cool as far as if you're shooting different distances and you don't want to always use your holdover. If you got time to reset your reticle, windage and elevation, you can get it where you want it. You know what your dope is, and then you can re-zero it back to 0. And of course, you do have a focus knob here on your left, so as you're dialing in your magnification, looking at whatever you're looking at, a lot of times you may have to crank that focus knob in to get a crisp, clear picture. Which, you know, I've done a lot of Riton reviews, I've done a lot of their optics, And while they are considered an inexpensive optic, MSRP on this is $649.99, 650 bucks. Street price, I'm reckoning, is probably going to be somewhere around $450. For this type of optic, that's very reasonable. And you know what? They're actually pretty good clear optics. I mean, you know, not everybody has the budget to spend $1,500 on an optic like this. So with Riton, you do have some options as far as getting some really good features on a pretty good optic that's reasonable. The scope tube is a 30mm tube, and that's pretty indicative to long-range optics. You know, a lot of them you'll see it's a 1-inch tube, but you got that 30mm tube, and it's a little bit larger. It's going to allow a little bit more light in, and so you get a little bit of extra time in the morning and the evenings if you're running this optic. It is, according to Riton, waterproof, fog, and shockproof, and it is built from aircraft-grade aluminum. So now you're wondering, okay, we've talked all about this. This is a long-range scope. Hunter, why'd you put it on a damn 30-30? You know, that's a 300-400 yard gun. Well, I wanted to show that it has a lot of potential, and not just mounting on your, you know, your dedicated bolt gun where you're going to go out there and shoot at 600 yards or 1,000 yards. If you want to mount something like this on a hunting gun, you know, 30-30 is still very viable out to 300-400 yards. If you're going to mount something like this on a hunting gun, you can exploit the benefits of a long-range target scope. Milliradian, holdover, impressive magnification, return to zero. You know, you're out there and you're deer hunting and you got your 30-30 zeroed at 100, 150 yards, and you see your deers out at 300 yards, and you know you can make the ethical shot. You know what your 300-yard dope is. You just get on your turret there and you crank your dope in, or if you got a 10-mile-an-hour crosswind and you already know what your bullet drift is, because you've done your research, you know what your rifle does, you can dial in, just like on your elevation, you can dial in your deflection, your windage, and then whenever that wind dials down or goes back to zero value, you can zero your windage knob right back out. So there's a lot of cool stuff on this that certainly would benefit a target rifle. However, in my mind, it would certainly also benefit a hunting rifle. And at this price point, it's very feasible to have something like this and put it on a knockaround gun that you're going to take out in the woods and hunt. Riton does have a lifetime warranty, so if the scope does fail, then they're gonna have you covered. But I feel like that they're durable enough to where you can throw it on your lever gun and you can throw it in the truck and take it hunting or target shooting or whatever, and it's not gonna affect the scope. Riton does a good job. We've gone through all that. So anyway, we shot it, we zeroed it. You know, I run the elevation up, you run the windage over, strike it around, follows where you're supposed to be. The scope dialed right back. When I zeroed it out, strike it around, zeroed right back out like it was supposed to. So, I mean, it's an optic. Everything worked. The illuminated reticle worked. It was clear all the way out to from 6 to 24 power. When you want to get to crank it on your magnification, it does come with a integrated throw lever. So, you know, if you're having to work this knob, you've got some leverage here that you can work it with. So, I mean, there's a lot of features. I mounted it using some medium height 30mm Riton rings here on this Marlin. Once we got it in, snug down, it was good to go, no problems. It hasn't moved around, point of aim, point of impact hasn't shifted. We've probably got, I don't know, 150, 200 rounds of 30-30 through the gun with this optic on it. Myself and several of my friends have shot it. Everybody, you know, thought that it was just fine, no problems. I don't have anything really bad to say about it. So, you know, that's about all I got. Now, when you get the box, it does come with some cool stuff. You got your lens cleaner, you got some stickers and patches and what have you. But something really cool is, it does come with snap-up caps. A lot of optics, you got to go buy these separate from Butler Creek or whatever, and you know, they're kind of expensive. So with these, you pull it out of the box, it does come with the covers, and you're good to go. So anyway, I had mentioned there's going to be an article on rangehot.com. If you felt like I went through anything too fast, or maybe I didn't explain something quite clear that you got, and that's sure it's my fault, then just jump over to rangehot.com, read the written review. If you got any questions past that, reach out to me. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, Parler now. You know, we're doing the mitigating. I'm trying to mitigate more stuff away from Facebook. I'm not going to get into a whole political thing, but you know, I'm sick of those Zuckerbergers getting in there and censoring the damn conservatives. So, you know, anyway, I'm going to get on a rant because I'm ill, so I'm not going to talk about that. Let's talk about the scope, wrapping up the review. Let me know what you think, good, bad, right, or wrong. I always appreciate feedback. I reckon that's about all I got. So, hey, look here, y'all. I really appreciate it. I want you to take care of yourselves and each other. I look forward to seeing you at the range.